in like 1 year, we had like 15x growth, and then we were able to like grow continuously from there. I did mention like now I'm running like a few projects simultaneously, but in order for that to happen, because I've been in this space for like about 6-7 years already, but in the beginning, like the first 3-4 years, I was only focused on Pace Forward. So I had to actually just focus on one thing, grow it, scale it really fast. And then now that it's more stable, then I can start doing simultaneous projects. So in the first few years, just focus on one thing, because you might have the time, right? Some people believe like, oh, I can just block this amount of time for this project, another block of time for another project. But it's actually not true if you're a founder.
Hi, Stacie. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for inviting me as well.
Yeah. So first, I will let you introduce yourself, your name, where you from, where you based right now.
Yeah, so I am Stacie. I am originally from Myanmar, but currently I'm based in Thailand because we just expanded our business. Like we opened our branch in Thailand last year. So now I'm here working on the business full time.
Wow. Yeah. And we were just chatting earlier that you are 27 years young, not old, and you
Thank you.
already have your own business and already in the phase where you scale and investing in different projects right now. And perhaps you could start from how do you get into the business that you are in now? You are in education, EdTech, right? That's what you call. So can you tell me more
Yes.
about that?
Yeah, so I started back in 2019 actually. It was um right before like COVID lockdown happened. I was before that previously I was studying in New York, so I finished my bachelor and then I went back home for like a gap year before I had to continue my master's. And then during that time I was like, okay, I'm free, I need to be doing something. So I started working for a company as a project manager at first, and they offer like education services, and that's where I got the idea to start my business, because at that time like online learning wasn't really that popular. Everyone just focused on like the going to the class and then like attending classes physically. So I was thinking like, okay, what if we bring the online learning and then make it like more effective with like one-to-one tutoring. So that's where the idea come from, because I want to give people like not only in the city, the one outside of the city also access to like quality education. So I started it as a small project, but then like 2 months after we launched our like language one-to-one program, COVID lockdown happened. So everyone started to find other options to learn language. And at that time, we're already in the market, like the first in the market. So it helped us a lot in like boosting our growth. Within like 1 year, we had like 15x growth, and then we were able to like grow continuously from there. So that was my, yeah, first business. It was like I kind of stumbled into that.
Yeah. Wow. So after you graduate, you were project manager, and then from the first company that you work with, you have the idea of starting online education. And since COVID, it's yeah, people looking for online learning. Even me myself, I start to learn Spanish online during COVID as well. Um, I think it's like such a apart from having a great services, I think the market also supporting the industry a lot at that time. And can you also share more around before you launch? What are the things that you have learned when starting from when you have an idea of, launching your own platform? Am I using the words
Yes.
correctly? Yeah, launching your own platform, starting everything from scratch and, until it become a system, until it become a product. Like, what do you find during that phase?
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges when we first started. Because for me personally, I wasn't from the business background. My background was I was studying biotech, like I was doing research. So business was like not even on my radar. So everything I learned was like through experience. And in the beginning, like I just went in kind of like a casual thing, you know? So it's gonna be a small project that I started, like a kind of like a side project, because my idea was later on I was gonna continue my career, which was in biotech, but that ended up not happening. But that's a story for later. So yeah, so I just went in with the experience. But the good thing was the company I was working for, he is like a seasoned entrepreneur, so he mentored me a lot in terms of like growing the business. So I learned a lot of like the business system, setting, operation, everything from him. And that helped me grow in the first 2 years. Like that kind of helped me put everything in system. But still there's a lot of challenges because we were in like really high demand and there's like a lot of students coming into us. And it's a good problem to have, but we were not ready for that number of students. So every month we would have like over 1,000 students coming in, and it was really difficult to manage all of that because at that time we didn't have our own platform. So we were using like more of a manual processes to like match the student and the tutor. And then once like we hit 1,500, the team was like so overwhelmed we couldn't continue anymore. We cannot like keep using the manual system. That's where we had to like, okay, maybe we cannot go above this number if we just continue with this traditional platform that we were using. So that's where we had to decide like what are some of the changes that needed to happen. And then there's a lot of like sacrifices as well, like in terms of what we offer to the customers and then what we want to achieve. Just kind of finding the middle ground, like what is our operation capacity? How much can we actually grow? Yeah, things like that.
Yeah, so it sounds to me like you are starting from manual system before you decide to make it become platform or more investment around technology. And then you're also saying that there were a sacrifice in terms of the things that customer are looking for in the process of scaling the business to reach more customer. A lot of question to be asked in this, just only in this phase where I'm just sharing. Perhaps my first one is, yeah, you said it's a good problem to solve when you have too many customer and you
Yes.
have limited capacity and in terms of services. And I want to just rewind back a little bit of how do you start gaining the first few customer? How do you get to, because even though online tech is pretty new, but I'm sure there are competitors available out there with tech and, more convenience. Like, how do you find that room to still start establishing yourself when you start from more a manual system? Like, yeah, can you share some tips around it?
Yeah, definitely. That's a very good question. I think this is something that like every startup founder who are planning to start their own business should know as well, like how to get the first few customers, right? For us, it's more B2C. I believe like B2C market is a bit easier compared to B2B market because we're like direct to customers and the decision making process is a lot faster, and then it only depends on one individual. But in the beginning, of course, there's a lot of skepticism from the potential customers. They're like, it's online, is it going to be as effective as like meeting the tutor or the teacher face to face in the class? So there's a lot of those concerns from the customers. So what we started doing is we provide like a free trial lessons, which basically like we were just giving it out to everyone for like the first 2 3 months. Like it's free, just come try taking one class, and if you are convinced then you can attend our classes. So that helped a lot. Like in the beginning the conversion rate was only like 10 15%, but within 3 months it went up to like 70%. uh, After the trial the students were actually convinced like, okay, this is like the good way to learn. So that helped a lot. So in the beginning we had to like structure the sales pipeline in a very meticulous way to give like experience to the customer so that they can feel the value in our service as well. So that's another thing different from like product market and service market. We don't have anything tangible to show to the customer, so it's all about the customer experience. So we're always like trying to give the customer the experience that they get something out of buying from us.
How do you reach the first group of customer? Is it through social media or what are the ways to gain the very first few customer?
Yeah, we mainly focus on social media marketing. That was like one of the in Myanmar, like Facebook is the big thing. I believe like it's similar market behavior in Thailand as well. So we can reach through digital marketing on social media. That was the key. And then it was also through like word of mouth marketing through our existing network. And then like we would go to the companies and then say like try take our free trial classes, give it as a benefit to your employees. So that's another way we also reach to the customers, because our service is targeted towards like working professionals who can't really give a lot of time to learn something. So we're offering like flexible schedule classes. That's why we're able to go to the companies like, okay, add it as your employee benefit. You don't have to pay us anything. Just give this like discount code to your employees. So that's another way we were also reaching out.
Yeah, so it's like clear on who are you reaching out to. So you are reaching out to professionals and through the company as well as promoting the service in social media. And you said it's within 2 months that you've seen a lot of demands, right? That you have to scale
Yeah.
fast. Yeah. And in that process of, scaling from supporting people manually into transition into, online support or a more technology support, where you also mentioned that you have to sacrifice certain features, or what are you sacrificing during that period and during those moments? What are the things that help you decide what to keep and what to let go?
Yeah, that's a great question, because that thing I think I still struggle with whenever I'm like developing a new service or new product. I still struggle with that as well, because as a business, we want to give all the values to the customers, like everything they want, like we want to make all of their wishes come true. But as a business, like that just doesn't work. So when we started Pace, what we were offering is like, okay, flexible schedule. You can choose any tutor that you want, and then but still we were trying to manage the quality of the lesson by providing our own lesson curriculum, everything. So once we were getting like over 1,000 students per month, it started to get difficult to match the demand, because the customers are coming in like, I want this time only, I'm only available like this 1 hour of the whole week, but I want with this specific teacher. At that time, like it started, the schedule conflict starts to happen. Like we cannot have one teacher available for all of the students who are in demand. So that's where we had to like actually sit down with the team and like, what is the priority that customers are looking for, and then what is one of the features that we can remove or reduce. That's where it was like, okay, for the customers, the key is just the flexible time. So the teacher is the second priority. So we had to say like, okay, you can get this time, but not with the teacher. But we still had to guarantee the teaching quality by making sure like all the quality management system in the background are still in place. So the students still feel like they're getting the same value out of learning with any teachers. So that was like the biggest sacrifice we had to do in the beginning.
So it's about getting clear on the quality of service that you want to provide, not only just, getting people to enroll into your product,
Yes.
but getting clear on what kind of quality that you want to provide to them. And you use that to screen through what to let go and what to keep in the process, right? Yeah. And when you start, I want to hear when people start to say no to customer, especially you also work with your team and where your team also have to say no. How do you handle customer resistance?
That's customer resistance, as in like not the rejection to the service, right?
Yeah, I mean, as in, yeah, let me be clear on that. Like, how do you handle, the disappointment of the customer that they don't get, let's say, the schedule that they're looking for, and that is the only schedule that probably available for them, for example, and they
Yeah,
really
yeah.
want to choose this teacher, but it just doesn't match. Like those, how do you learn? What are you learning towards those process of, start saying more no and facing disappointment from the customer, and in the process, I'm sure you're also backing yourself up that that you are making the right decision to scale and screen through certain feature out. And yeah, so I just curious around the part where you are going through internally, both as a person and as a business overall.
Yeah. I think it's a very complex process because in the beginning, we're a bootstrap business, right? So every customer matter to us because we want to increase our revenue. That's the only funding that we have. So in the beginning, we were really like giving the customers everything they want because we want to have just like increase the number of customers. And then it got to a point where we had to actually say like, okay, we need to start saying no to customers. So that's like a lot of like balancing on that. And then yeah, we definitely met a lot of resistance from the customers. Like there's a lot of customer complaints as well because in the beginning we were trying to give everything. So once we start reducing on some of the features, then they're like, we were getting this before, why are we not getting it anymore? We had to face a lot of that. And then the key thing we did during that time was like, okay, we had to have like options, like 2 3 options for the customers, like based on their demand. We have to say like, okay, this is possible, but it's more into like negotiation. And then just like, if you want this time, maybe not with this teacher, but we can you can try with this new teacher, but if you don't like it, we will change it for you in like the next package, something like that. So there were a lot of like negotiation and then customer care process involved. So for those type of customers, we have like a dedicated account person, just like making sure with that customer, like if they are okay, how is the process going. So we would check in with them just to show that we care about them. And then like, even though we're not able to provide all the demands they have, but we're still like making sure they have a good experience with us. So there's a lot of those steps needed we had to add in between to make sure the customers are happy with our service.
Yeah, so you have both proposal as an option for the customer, and you also have a person who take care of specific group of customer that needs extra care to nurture them through the process of the transition of your business as well. Yeah, I think that's a lot of learning that I'm sure that the audience who listen to this show will get a lot of learning from what you shared just now. And you
Hope so.
said right
Yeah.
now, yeah, and you have helped over 30,000 young people across Southeast Asia to build language skills. So can you also share around the part where you start to expand outside of Myanmar?
Yeah, it was, well, because we are an online service, even in the first 2 3 years, a majority of our customers, let's say 90%, are in Myanmar, but we still got like clients from Japan and Korea even during that time. So, and also like in other Southeast Asian countries as well. So the only thing we started actually like taking action on expansion was last year when we had our second branch in Thailand, because we were seeing like, okay, maybe directly from Myanmar there are like a few limitations on like the marketing side and then the payment integration side that we were facing. So we decided like, okay, having a branch here would help us with all of the transactions and then those like policies and things. So that's why we decided to expand the physical office into Thailand last year. But because our service is online, it wasn't like the priority for us. We could still reach to customers all across the countries without having a physical presence before that.
Yeah. Um, and you also start scaling with two, two,
To
two,
turn
two turn. Yeah. What is this?
Tutoring is a tutoring management system. So that's the system we had to use for Pace Forward for scaling because we were doing everything manually before. So at one point, we needed to use our own system to manage the tutor, the students, the schedule, all the database. So with like 30,000 students, it was impossible to do manually anymore. So that's why we developed it for internal use. But then I was just talking to the education founders in the network about like what I'm doing, and then they started showing interest in our operation system. They're like, if you have that, maybe it might be useful for us too. So that's where I decided to see like if we can package Tutorn as a software as a service instead of just like using it internally, and then we can actually sell it to other education founders as well to make their life easier the same way it made my life easier with Pays Forward. So that's where Tutorn was born. So this year we're developing it into a SaaS platform. So we haven't officially launched yet. We were just like giving the beta version to some of our education founders in the network. So we have about five clients using our service now. But once we are launched, which will be the next month, then we will start like actually expanding to the B2B market in Thailand as well.
Yeah, that sounds exciting. I hope the project spread to more people that this can support them to make their life easier as it help your business to be easier and scaling faster with more customers. And you also start to have a new project around Women for Women, where you start mentoring women founder on the mentorship. Can you share more about that
Yeah,
project?
for sure. Women for Women is a nonprofit, so it's just something that I have been passionate about my whole entrepreneurship journey. So, like I mentioned before, like I didn't come from the business background, but like to kind of like stumble into the business world, there's a lot of things I didn't know. I had to learn from like other people, other mentors, or like learn from the online resources as well. And then I had faced a lot of mistakes that would have been eliminated if I had someone guiding me through the process more. So that's the idea of why we started Women for Women. So I started with the project team of like other also business leaders like from other ASEAN countries. So we started as a project in the beginning, but now we have turned it into a platform as a nonprofit and running it. We will be launching that in the end of this month actually. So it's where we want to connect all the first time women entrepreneurs with the mentors from all across ASEAN countries. So one key challenge that we face as like first time women founder, I was one of them. So we can find a lot of resources online, but they're not really localized to the ASEAN market. So when we're like searching about business resources, we're seeing the things from the Western world, and their infrastructure is completely different from what we're given to run with. Our infrastructure is very limited. So that's why I wanted to connect the first time founders with the experience women entrepreneurs or just like business leaders in general who have operated their business in ASEAN countries. So this is where the actual experience and the actual advice come in. So that's why we decided to work on Women for Women, but only scope it to like ASEAN market.
Mm, mm. Yeah, that sounds like a great project because I agree that when let's say in my industry where it's also pretty much around like education, coaching, when I look around the help and support around mentor that I want to get support on, mostly will be from the Western world. And the thing that I definitely find as a challenge is the time as well, the time zone
Mm,
where if I want to get connect to my mentor who is in the West, is a completely, different time zone where I either
yeah,
has
you have to
to
be
wake
up
up
at
at night.
midnight.
Yeah, so that's my real struggle as I'm also having mentor in another side of the world. So I can see that this is going to support a lot of women. Yeah, so if you were to, because you also mentioned a couple times around you were from graduate from biotech, you don't have any business background and you have scale your business, you pretty much have three key projects that is in your hands now. What would be the advice if there is a person who also does not come from business background, but really passionate in building a product or services that can offer people? what would be, your words of wisdom?
Good question. I would say focus. I did mention like now I'm running like a few projects simultaneously, but in order for that to happen, because I've been in this space for like about 6, 7 years already. But in the beginning, like the first 3, 4 years, I was only focused on Pace Forward. So I had to actually just focus on one thing, grow it, scale it really fast. And then now that it's more stable, then I can start doing like simultaneous projects. So in the first few years, just focus on one thing because you might have the time, right? Some people believe that, oh, I can just block this amount of time for this project, another block of time for another project. But it's actually not true if you're a founder. Your focus and concentration is, you cannot block your concentration with the time. So that's why like your focus and concentration should be the one thing that you are super passionate about growing and then scaling. And then once it's successful, then you can start like put in more things. So even now, my other projects that I have are still contributing to the main project, which is Pace Forward. Like Tutoring is the tutoring management system that is directly affecting the operation of Pace Forward. And then Women for Women is more of a nonprofit, but still like every time I go into these other projects, my way of thinking is how can I increase the value of Pace Forward through these others. So Women for Women give me a lot of like network across ASEAN countries, which I can leverage on to grow Pace Forward as well and also to grow Tutorn as well. So when I say focus, I'm not talking about like focus as a time. It's more of your own concentration and your own way of thinking. It should be on the key priority for you.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I was just teaching the master class around that, and I also like, although people say women, we can do multiple things at the same time, but I also agree that when it's come to if you really want to grow your business, especially when you're starting out, the focus in nurturing the first one is really important. And I always give the metaphor of like it's like a newborn baby where it needs more time than the mature baby, right? Than the teenager, where the teenager has more structure. But when you're starting your new business, it's like a newborn. So you would want to make sure that you put all your time, effort, and energy into the first one. And yeah,
Yeah, that's
so
a really great metaphor. I'm gonna start
yeah.
using that as well.
I got it from Tony Robbins event that I've been to, and then he
Oh,
teach a different business life cycle, and he said we need to know where we are, and it's the same as human life cycle. So that's the basic concept, and it's so true. That's what I
yeah.
found. Yeah. So now I lost my question. I was having one before.
Sorry.
Let me see when I get if I gonna get it back. Yes. So relating to that, where you share around once you have Pace Forward as your core business, all road lead to Rome, right? And that is your Rome, where Pace Forward is the core in every project that you build up on. Do you find the time that you put on Tilturn and Woman for Woman shorter once you have that core business set up in a sustainable way?
Um, yeah, it's a lot of balancing for sure. So like I will just use the metaphor you were using earlier, right? Pace Forward is now a teenager, so I don't need to worry about it too much. Like it's just at school most of the time. So I'm really fortunate to have a team that is like so reliable that I don't even have to look back and they just like make sure everything is going as we planned. So I'm just only involved in more of a strategic layer. So I'm involved in like, okay, quarterly plan, yearly plan, giving them the target. So the other executions, all the operation is done by my team. So that like takes up a lot of time from me in terms of strategy as well and the focus as well. So right now, Utrecht is my second baby. So really in an early stage. So that's most of my attention is going to that. So Women for Women is a nonprofit. So I give my time, which but like not necessarily the full focus because we have a whole project team on it. So I'm only taking part like on the platform development side of it. The other parts are taken part by other project team. So that makes it a lot easier for me to handle that. So right now my focus is like mostly on tutors.
Yeah, I love that you have a clear picture on what are the energy and effort that you are bringing into each of your business in the each of their business life cycle as well, where you start where you have an operation team, strategic team to support you on pace forward. And right now, your main focus as a founder is nurturing your second baby that needs more attention, which is tutoring. And then you also have a passion around, supporting women who went through the same journey as you, and you make sure that you have support around that. So your focus is split in a way that is going to support our business to continue to grow. And that is really exciting. So thank you so much for coming into the podcast. And this podcast is all about for people who are in the start of their business, and you've been through that. You were in business for 6, 7 years. So if people are in the start of their journey, they were still, in the process of going through building their new product, which they don't know whether it's going to be successful or not. Or perhaps if people are in the phase of still in the beginning journey where the financial reward hasn't come up yet, what would be another words of wisdom that you can give to people who are still in this early phase where the baby is still so young and we don't know how the baby is going to grow into?
Yeah, those are like the times of uncertainty, really challenging. Yeah, I think that's where like the entrepreneurship mindset is really important. That's why like people in the entrepreneurship space, they're always saying like not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur because it takes like a lot of resilient mindset. Like we're facing like failures almost every day. We're facing uncertainty almost every day. So your way of thinking around like how if a failure happened, what you take from it, that's the most important for entrepreneurs. So if you have one rejection, instead of just like feeling demotivated, I mean, you can have like emotions, but you need to know how to process and then maintain your own mindset. So you can have a few moments of like demotivation, but afterwards you need to see it as a lesson. Okay, this is not a failure, this is just a lesson. And then what do I get out of it? How do I improve it so next time this doesn't happen? So having the mindset is the key to entrepreneurs, in my opinion. So in order for all the successful entrepreneurs, actually, they have faced like a lot of like numerous mistakes. So those mistakes made them successful. So I have faced a lot in my journey as well. That's why I'm here today and then still like doing more mistakes basically to grow more as well. So just not be afraid of the mistakes, not be afraid of doing something wrong. But if you're persistent enough, then the growth will come to you. If you know to take the lesson and then keep going and then improving and adapting.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm noting that what I get from you and what I'm hearing from you is first one, it's okay to have emotion. Like emotion is part of the process and it's okay to go through that phase of, facing that disappointment or the failure that probably like try something and it doesn't go as planned, right? So it's also important to give that space to recognize the emotion and take the lesson on instead of what is wrong, but what do I get out of it? Like what are the lessons that can build on into the next phase? And then the last one that I hear from you is be persistent enough and then you will get the reward. So that's really beautiful. Thank you for sharing. It's so amazing to see a young generation. I'm in my 40 now, so looking at you, it's so inspiring to see how you progress fast, not only just business, but from what you share with me today in this episode is also around the mindset that you have, which is definitely is a core part that help build the business to be in this space. Yeah, so we talked on woman for woman already. And I also want to make sure that I give space to the project that is close to your heart right now. So I would leave you with the last question on how can people reach out to you? Like, what are the criteria to be in woman or woman projects and how people can reach out to you?
Yeah, so anyone can reach to me on LinkedIn. That is the best way to reach to me. So just search Stacie Phyo on LinkedIn, and I'm probably the only one that show up. So because of the way I spell my name. So you can reach me easily on LinkedIn for any project. So for women, we will launch the platform. So once it's launched, you just go and easily sign up as a mentor or mentee, and then you can be a part of the community as well. And aside from that, for me personally, I try to invest in some of the education businesses as well. I have a few that I have already invested in, but I'm looking to also network with other education founders, seeing how I can support them with like mentorship or also with like investment as well. So if those are the areas that you need support with, you can also just reach out to me on LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, so I will also leave your
I would love to
LinkedIn
connect with
into
you.
the description
And it
of
would also
this
mean a
episode.
lot
So
to
if
me if you
anybody
could share it with a
is
friend
interested
or leave
to
a
reach
review
out
on the
with
episode.
me
A
in the
little bit about
platform for
me. I'm a
learning, or
trauma
if anybody is
informed
looking
life
to learn the
coach with
language,
16 years of
or any
experience in the
woman
corporate world
founders
and 8
looking to
years
be
as a
either
coach.
mentor or
I have
mentee,
been helping
also
business
reach out to
owners
her,
and
and
executives
probably I will
tap
reach out to you too
into
after
real
this.
confidence
And yeah,
and make
so thank you so
clearer
much,
decisions.
Stacie,
And
for
if you are in
coming
the
into the
season of
show.
change and want a
And
personal light
yeah,
touch,
it's a
feel
gratitude
free
to
to
have you
reach out
here.
about my one-on-one
Thank you
coaching
so much for
program.
inviting. The
I'm
questions were
always
really
happy
great.
to
I'm
connect
taking
with
notes
you.
too.
And come back for a
Yeah, it
new
was fun
episode
chatting
next
with
week.
you.
And until then, keep
Yeah,
being
so
kind to
bye.
yourself.
Bye. Thank you.